All right, welcome to today's episode of Your Daily Scrum. I'm professional Scrum trainer Ryan Ripley. This is professional Scrum trainer Todd Miller. We put together this daily show to help you and your teams do a little better each day. We hope that
go. Give me that camera. Give me that camera back.
Grogu? What's going on here?
You're messing with my camera again,
dude. Who brought the child?
I don't know.
LucasArts they're gonna sue us. No, it's good. All right, so Grogu's joining us today as well to share some Jedi knowledge as we try to help you and your teams level up through your use of Scrum. All right. We have a question, Todd.
We do, yeah.
We got a question. So
it's a great question too.
I love this question. So we got a question in the comments. So the comments below, there's somewhere in this space down below. What we want you to do is leave a question for us, and guess what? It'll probably show up on a video in the future, or we might just interact with you in the chat. Todd does a really good job. I'll admit, most of the comments are from Todd. I jump in if I'm awake at 3 a.m. I might answer a few of these. I did make sure I put Cobra Kai Never Dies.
Yeah, I thumbs down that this morning.
Oh, no. Yeah. Cobra Kai Never Dies.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I got Grogu on my side, so bring it.
The force is with you.
Yeah.
We did get a great question, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We don't, actually, they're all great. This one, though, really is pretty timely. We don't write software. Can we use Scrum? Right?
Yeah, and specifically, the comment was, how does Scrum work in more operations-related fields, say HR or sales, key accounts, or really, and the digging in further, the listener was asking, what is the increment in these kinds of settings? So I think that's a lot to go off of.
Yeah, and I love the question because Scrum Guide 2020 is all about non-software teams. I think something brilliant that Ken and Jeff did with the latest release of the Scrum Guide is they basically took out a lot of the software tilting language. You know, it's still great for software development, but the way that they have restructured the guide and changed the language, it's now, I think, applicable and open to all of these different operational areas that were listed in that YouTube comment.
Yeah, and I think it's been a long-standing thing where marketing teams and even having worked with different even law firms or biotech, that I think increment is always the thing that people ask us questions about, right? And I think that the addition of the commitment definition of done really clears this up for non-software related teams specifically. And I know you love this quote too, Ryan. I'm going to read it verbatim. I have it open on my other monitor here. Under the commitment definition of done, it states, the moment a product backlog item meets the definition of done, an increment is born.
Yep.
So if in your sprint backlog, you have a product backlog item and it meets the definition of done, an increment is born, right? And so remember, the increment then is a sum of all product backlog items complete during a sprint, plus a sum of all previous increments. So the second you have a product backlog item that meets your definition of done in your circumstance, an increment is born. And that definition of done will be based off of the work domain that you're in.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment, and it should be really helpful to teams struggling with the idea of an increment. I know prior to this Scrum Guide release that you and I have worked with a ton of operational teams that had nothing to do with software. One of my favorite examples is HR. You know, people are like, well, wait, you can use Scrum with an HR team, human resources, people team, however you want to say it. The answer is emphatically yes. Well, Ryan, what's the product? Great question. We struggled with that the first time working through it. And finally, we landed on the product is the employee experience from hire to fire or retire, right? It is that experience from end to end. It's not the SAP payroll system, and it's not the fancy timesheet kind of systems. It's the experience of the employee from the time they're hired and to the time they exit, right? Yeah. And so if you look at it that way, there's a lot of really good product goals in between. Yeah. You know, how do we make onboarding the cleanest, safest, least painful experience ever? And so onboarding turns into this product within this experience that we're trying to create. And an increment is the experience of an onboarding situation for a new employee. And when you think of it that way, suddenly increments click and make sense. And when we look at it as a total experience, we can see how product goals service and how sprint goals service, and it all just lines up beautifully. And it worked really well.
So let's kind of dig in there and give an example. So let's say during a sprint, you have a product backlog item that is to develop a welcome kit.
Yep.
Right. And let's say that that product backlog item, developing a welcome kit, meets the definition of done. What are some things we can imagine might be on the definition of done there?
Definition of done could be that the welcome kit is packaged in corporate branded packaging, that it contains the following items in each kit.
So I would view that as acceptance criteria, but a definition of done, I would say, would be something like that meets corporate branding standards,
sure.
Right? Because that's universally applicable to any PBI that comes through the sprint. It could be has been approved by the product owner, reviewed by the product owner. Maybe
sure.
It could be your product owner, could be your head of HR. And things like that, these more generic items that every PBI in the sprint would do. And then the second that you consider that PBI during the sprint to be done, an increments form. If that welcome kit is ready and it meets the definition of done, an increments form, right?
I like it. Yeah, welcome kit is a great example. It could be the presentation shown to every new hire, right? Mm-hmm. Or the tour process of the building, or all of these things end up being additional pieces of the increment that defines the experience of the employee. And so I think when you break it down that way, that is I think that is a great way to look at it. And it's helped us, whether it's biotech, HR, marketing, and I think the Scrum Guide, the 2020 edition, has really helped solidify that language too. I think you're right, Todd. The commitment language in the Scrum Guide has really helped teams clarify their products and how to really move forward with Scrum.
Yeah, really, a definition of done, and the moment a product backlog item meets that during a sprint, you have an increment, right?
There you go. Great question. So, if you're not writing software, can we use Scrum? Emphatically, yes. Mm-hmm. How do we define that increment? In the case of HR, it was the experience for us, but it could be something different for you. Use this quote, this comment: the moment a product backlog item meets the definition of done, an increment is born. That's going to give you some pointers on what your increment could be. And we look forward to hearing about your success in the comments using Scrum in a non-software context. Let us know how it went. What were the struggles? What were the wins? And what are your follow-up questions, right? Maybe the acceptance criteria that Todd pointed out has sparked a new debate for you and your team. Well, what's acceptance criteria? What's definition of done? Maybe that's a future video. But in the meantime, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening.
I'm glad Grogu let the camera alone the rest of the time.
The force is strong with that one. It was nice of him to release it. While Grogu is feeling generous, I'm going to point you towards the socials, right? Agile for Humans on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Be sure to hit that smash that subscribe button, right, Todd?
Yep, smash it.
Hit that bell so you know when new videos drop. We've also recommended some other videos below. Check out the playlist, the videos. Be sure, again, to like and subscribe so that you know when new videos release. And you know what? We'll catch you tomorrow on another edition of Your Daily Scrum.
Have a good day.